On a cold January morning in 1966, high above the Mediterranean coast of Spain, a B-52 bomber droned along a thin white contrail. Inside, 7 American airmen were hours into a long Cold War mission called Chrome Dome, a non-stop patrol carrying nuclear bombs, ready, in theory, to strike the Soviet Union if the order ever came. Hanging in the bomb bay beneath them, there were 4 B-28 hydrogen bombs, each one more powerful than anything dropped on Japan. They weren't armed, but they were very real, and they were about to fall out of the sky. The bomber's next task was routine. At 31,000 feet, it would refuel from a KC-135 tanker launched out of Spain. The tanker slid into position ahead and above, 4 jet engines humming. A long metal boom unfolded from its tail, like a spear. Down below, the B-52's crew eased their giant aircraft into place. They had done this many times, night, day, over the Atlantic, over Europe. Refuel and keep the nuclear patrol going. From the boom operator's window in the tanker, the B-52's nose seemed to grow larger and larger as it crept closer under the KC-135. For a moment, everything looked stable. Then, the closure rate changed. The bomber inched just a little too far forward and a little too high. The refueling boom slammed down onto the top of the B-52's fuselage. Metal tore. A structural beam snapped. And in an instant, the bomber's left wing ripped away. The tanker, full of jet fuel, turned into a fireball in the sky. All 4 men on board were killed immediately. The B-52 tumbled out of control. Inside, red lights flashed. Alarms howled. Loose equipment and chart books flew through the cabin as the aircraft broke apart. 4 of the 7 bomber crew managed to eject. Their parachutes bloomed high over Spain. 3 others never made it out. As the fuselage shredded, the bomb bay blew open. All 4 hydrogen bombs tore loose from their racks and began their own fall toward the earth. Far below, near the small farming village of Palomares. It was just another quiet morning. Villagers walked the dirt roads between whitewashed houses. Tomato fields glowed red in the winter light. Fishermen headed toward the sea. Then the sky began to roar. People looked up to see fire and metal raining down, burning fragments of aircraft, and 4 dark, heavy shapes dropping from the high blue. 3 of those shapes were bombs headed for land. 2 slammed into fields just outside the village. Their nuclear cores did not detonate, but the conventional explosives did. Each impact kicked up a huge, dirty cloud of dust and debris, and with it, microscopic particles of plutonium. The wind took that cloud and spread it over roughly 2.5 square kilometers, across tomato farms, scrubby hills, and the edges of the town. The 3rd bomb struck a dry riverbed. It hit hard, but its casing stayed mostly intact. A 5-meter steel cylinder lying half-buried in Spanish soil. The 4th bomb, the one with its parachute properly deployed, drifted out over the Mediterranean and vanished into the sea. Within hours, American and Spanish military teams flooded into Palomares. Radiation experts swept the fields with Geiger counters. Needles twitched upward as they crossed invisible hotspots. Thousands of barrels were brought in. Workers in improvised protective suits shoveled contaminated topsoil, tomato plants and all, into steel drums. In total, about 1,750 tons of soil and vegetation were scraped up, sealed, and shipped across the Atlantic for disposal in the United States. There were no civilian deaths that day, but the fear was real. People worried about their land, their water, their children. To calm the panic, politicians staged a strange theater. Weeks after the accident, a Spanish minister and the U.S. ambassador walked into the sea in front of reporters, smiling, splashing, posing for photographs, as if a quick swim could prove the beaches were safe. Behind the cameras, the cleanup quietly continued. Meanwhile, out at sea, an even more delicate problem remained. Somewhere on the Mediterranean seabed lay a missing hydrogen bomb. The U.S. Navy brought in ships, sonar experts, and deep-diving submersibles. For more than 80 days, they searched, dragging sensors over the ocean floor, lowering cameras into the dark. A Spanish fisherman, who had seen something fall into the water, gave them a crucial clue about where to look. Finally, at a depth of almost 900 meters, cameras picked out the shape they were hunting for. A B-28 bomb, lying in a ravine on the seabed, parachute still tangled around it. There was even a moment when the bomb slipped away again, before they regained it and lifted it slowly toward the surface. In April 1966, the damaged hydrogen bomb was hauled onto the deck of a U.S. Navy ship. The long search was over, but the story of Palomares wasn't. The visible wreckage was cleared. The fields were replanted. Life in the village went on. But traces of plutonium remained in the soil. And decades later, surveys still found contaminated patches of land. In 2015, Spain and the United States signed a new agreement, promising a fuller cleanup of the area. For the people of Palomares, January 17, 1966, was the day when the Cold War literally fell out of the sky. 4 bombs, 7 airmen lost, no nuclear explosion, but a reminder that one small mistake, high in the thin air above a quiet village, could have changed history forever.